What is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am reviewing the golf ball that none of you have been able to stop talking about for 3 days straight. That is the Amazon Basics Core Soft Golf Ball. Let's dive right in. As always, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I appreciate everyone who likes and comments and subscribes. You guys are the best. If you want to support this channel further, we have a membership. It just starts at $1 a month, and we also have a GoFundMe page. It just helps me provide even more, and it helps for buying clubs next year and buying maybe a better launch monitor and getting all kinds of new equipment. And so I appreciate anyone who does that. And if not, like I said, the free stuff's awesome too. All right, I cannot remember the last time that I had so many people request a golf ball. In the last 24 hours, I've probably had 35 to 50 people just request this. I'm getting comments on videos from a year ago where people are like, hey, I don't know if you heard, Amazon dropped. It's cool. I'm glad you all are really excited. I am too. So without further ado, let's just dive into this. So, when I went to look at what type of golf ball this is, I was a little disappointed in how Amazon presents it on their website, right? If we look on here, you can see that all it really says is, it's a two-piece golf ball. It's got a soft compression and it's made of rubber and plastic. But there's not really any mention of the dimples or what the cover's made out of or anything like that. I dug around on the internet a little bit. I found out it is ionomer. It's a two-piece golf ball, which, that's pretty basic for a two-piece. It has 338 dimples, which, is relatively low for a, softer compression golf ball like this. But, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could just be a high-launching golf ball from the rip. Usually extra dimples allow the golf ball to have height once it gets in the air, but, it can work either way. So we'll see about that. But again, I just wish Amazon had been a little bit more clear when it came to that. So let's get into pricing and design here. I'll show you this chart. This kind of lays it all out. As you can see, it comes at $14 and some change for 12 for a dozen, as well as you can get basically 2 dozen for $1 a golf ball, which is a really great price point. It doesn't get much lower than that in the golf ball world, especially since inflation, and over the last 5 years, it's hard to get that. So as far as which factory this comes out of, I did do a little digging. It comes out of the same factory that like PXG comes out of, as well as the Kirkland Signature as well comes out of that factory. So, 2 golf balls that are relatively well known, have been reviewed. PXG was a fantastic golf ball, #1 on our list last year. So it's a factory that at least has some credibility behind it. So I don't know if this golf ball will be hot garbage like some of you thought, but we'll see. I've never actually seen this factory produce a two-piece before, at least not knowingly. They might have, and I just didn't know it. But so let's talk about the design of the golf ball real quick. This is basic. I talk about it all the time. I like a simple design. Don't muddy it up with a bunch of words or, logos. Just has that smiley face. It just has that smiley face on there, or I guess it's an arrow from A to Z, however you want to call it. To me, it looks like a smiley face. But really basic. You're going to know that's Amazon from the moment you see it. Enough said. And I like that. I respect that. When we get to this alignment tool, I talked about it on a short last night. This is one of the best alignment tools I've seen because, a lot of cheap golf balls don't get this right. This is really thick. It's easy. I can come all the way up. Look at that. Clear as day on the camera, easy to see. I love that. It's a basic design, but boy, it's effective. And I got to give Amazon some credit for that. At least they got that part right. So that's really what we're looking at. Basic two-piece golf ball, ionomer cover. So let's go out to the pitching and putting green and let's see how it does around there. All right, back to basics. Amazon Basics. I'm sorry about that. Let's see how this thing does. Okay, there we go. Okay. That was more than I thought. It stopped short. Wow. Okay. Impressive. So my first initial thoughts are, wow, there is some stopping power. That golf ball, I hope it caught it on camera. It had grip, it stopped. I was actually short of the hole, which I did not expect. As far as feel goes, there's not much feel. It's pretty dead in the hands. There's not a lot of bouncy ball effect. It's more like a medium on the distance control. It's kind of balanced. Low spinner. It's not the equivalent of a Z-Star or anything, but it's got some decent checkup for being a two-piece ball like this. I really wasn't expecting anything. Yeah, rotation isn't like heavy, but it has some tug. It is actually gripping the green a little bit, so that's kind of impressive. I didn't have really any expectations at all. Yeah, I mean, I just did not expect that type of tug. That's actually really impressive. So, I mean, it's dead in the hands. There's no feedback, but I'll tell you what, I would call that spin around like 35 to 40%. That's really impressive for a two-piece golf ball like that. I am pleasantly surprised. So let's go see how the putting is. All right, Amazon Basics. We got our mallet putter. Let's see what we're working with. Oh boy, it's got a lot of spring to it. It doesn't take much to get it there. That's good to see. Let's test that one more time here, make sure that's accurate. Okay, yeah, no, I definitely would call the distance control fast. I had to take a lot off of it. It still got there, which is good. I love the alignment tool. Terrible putt. There's a soft, subtle feedback in the hands. Roll is a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. I think it'll get through most people. And one more time here. Nice. Yeah, very solid. The roll is close to a 5. It's barely a 4. It rolls great. It feels, you know, decent off the putter. It feels soft. There's not a lot of feedback really. There's just a small amount. Sound is pretty much non-existent. So let's grab the blade and see if it's any different. All right, blade putter down. Okay, I like the feedback a lot better. It's very crisp. Oh, baby, on the backboard. Yeah, no, I like that a lot better with the blade. Still really responsive and fast distance control. Now the feedback's been upgraded to kind of a medium. I can feel the crispiness. It feels a little buttery. Seems like it's coming off the putter a lot better. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it the 5 out of 5 on roll with the blade. I definitely prefer that. You know, the mallet got the job done, but the blade just has this essence of it. It kind of has that sound I like. It has that roll I like. It has that feel I like. Yeah, I think if you're someone who uses a more skinnier, you know, not as heavy putter, I think you'll like it a little bit better, but that's all perspective. All right, we've got our field test. We got 7-iron in hands, Amazon Basics. Let's see how this feels on full swings. Okay, starting off with a miss hit. Yeah, not great. Let's go ahead and hit one, try to get it pure. Let's see what the difference is. So I have a real problem with this golf ball. You know, I hit it and it was a miss hit. I hit it again, another slight miss hit, and then I hit it again. Thought it was pure, but no, it feels like a miss hit. Hit it again, feels like a miss hit. Well, after like 10 times, I've now realized this golf ball just feels that way. Like even on pure hits and on miss hits, it feels pretty much the same, which is like a 2 out of 5. It's not great. It's hard for me to tell any type of feedback whatsoever. Sometimes a golf ball will have no feedback, and I'm okay with that because you mishit it and it's still really soft and squishy and forgiving. Not this one. This one feels like when you hit it good, and it feels like when you don't hit it good. And so I'm finding a hard time distinguishing between the two. That's pretty rare. I don't see that very often. Most golf balls have at least some level of feedback, but I mean, even if I slow my swing down, that's yucky. That really is. I'm sorry. I just, It feels like a massive mishit, even though I know it wasn't. And it took me like 10 to 15 attempts to figure that out. I don't care for that at all. That's a 2 out of 5 on both accounts. All right, let's dive into some numbers now and talk some data. Now, I'm going to put this golf ball in the triple review format, and I'm going to compare it to 2 other golf balls. The 2 golf balls I'm going to compare it to are the Precept Laddie Extreme and the Wilson Boost. The reason I thought these 2 would be the best is because these are 2 of the fan favorite, really big surprises we've had over the channel the last few years. The Precept Laddie is made by Bridgestone. It's $1 a golf ball. It's really a fantastic model, really underrated. And then the Wilson Boost is a Walmart exclusive ball that sells for $9.72 a dozen, and it's been a big surprise on this channel. So I thought those 2 would be good just because of the price point. There's a lot of 2-piece golf balls out there that are great, but they're $25 a dozen, so it doesn't really compare. So I wanted to give at least some numbers to compare to kind of show you how this tests. Let's start with 50-yard pitch, backspin RPM, and let's see what we're looking at here. As you can see, the Amazon Basic is on the left there at 8,242. That is really respectable. It really is. And that launch angle, 27.3, that's a mid-launch. That's what I see a lot of tour balls do is around that, so I'm super impressed. The Precept Laddie Extreme, even though I like that golf ball, it compensates its low spin by having a ridiculously high 35.4, which is bad in wind, but it does kind of work if it's not super windy. Then the Boost actually has 7,787. but a launch angle of 32.4. So it has a high launch with, in unison, a pretty decently high spin number for a two-piece golf ball like that. So the clear winner there is the Amazon, Basics, but the other two kind of show what the majority of two-piece golf balls do on the market. The majority of them don't have a lot of spin on the 50-yard pitch, so they compensate by having a really high launch. Not the case with Amazon Basics. They had more of a mid-launch, but it did absorb into the club really well, and it got some pretty decently high spin, stayed in the green. Now let's get into the pitching wedge. Looking here, as you can see, the Amazon Basic, 95.3, really just an average mid number. 97.1 with the Precept, though, and 96.7 with the Boost, so the other two kind of beat it when it came to that. Amazon did continue to have a decent spin number at 7,114. The other two were pretty decent as well. Boost coming in hot there at 72.06. Love to see that. Now, launch angle, again, this is what we just talked about with the 50-yard pitch. Amazon has just kind of a mid to mid-high launch at 23.2. The other two were very, very high. So again, those two-piece golf balls traditionally try to launch high. Amazon Basics actually kind of launches more like a mid, which, I mean, isn't a bad thing. It's just something to keep in mind. 121.4 is really disappointing on the distance. 121.9, yeah, really disappointing. The other two, Wilson Boost as well, but the Boost also launches really, really high and has a ton of spin, so I kind of understand that distance number with the Boost a little bit more. The Amazon just doesn't have the pop off the club, unfortunately, and you can also see that in the smash factor down there. Smash factor was the lowest of the three with the Amazon Basics, below average. So, a little disappointing there and a little concerning, because when it comes to two-piece golf balls, especially ones that are kind of aimed at the senior crowd or slower swing speeds, whatever, soft, very soft, whatever you want to call it, usually the benefit is in the short irons to mid irons, right? What I mean by that is that when I test a golf ball, like let's say the Bridgestone Electron or even Callaway Super Soft or whatever, I do lose some distance with the driver, but it has such a bouncy ball effect and it's so springy off the rest of the clubs that I gain 4 or 5 yards with the pitching wedge or a few yards with the 7-iron, and it just has this, explosiveness to it that makes it fun. It's very forgiving. Not having good numbers with the pitching wedge is an immediate red flag, because that's where golf balls like this are supposed to make their money. They're supposed to be explosive. When I test a firm X model golf ball, the driver numbers are great, but the pitching wedge usually suffers because you're only swinging it, 75, 80 miles an hour. It just doesn't compress as well usually. It's a little clickier, firmer. So it's usually a trade-off, right? I usually am okay sacrificing the pitching wedge for the driver distance. Here it's kind of the opposite. I wanted the pitching wedge to have a lot of distance and a lot of pop. It just didn't. So we'll see how the rest of the clubs do. Let's get into the 7-iron and see how that one is. Looking at the 7-iron, again, not a lot of pop, 115.1. Smash factor is relatively low at the bottom, you can see there, below average. Spin with all three of these golf balls was fantastic, well above average. So, another common misconception is people still believe that two-piece golf balls do not spin very well. That's true on 50-yard pitch, but it's not true on full shots. Full pitching wedge, full 7-iron, constantly I am seeing really high spin numbers from these golf balls, and as you can see, it's no different here. The Precept definitely comes in there hot with the 117. Love the distance there. 160.6 and 162, excuse me, with the Amazon Basic just isn't that great. It just really isn't. I lost about 2 to 3 yards of distance. It has no pop. Launches mid again. The other two are launching high. We're keeping a good consistency there as far as Amazon launching mid, the other two launching high. But the thing is that there just isn't any pop off the club. I talked about it when I was doing the field test a minute ago. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of explosiveness. It feels kind of heavy. It feels dead. It just feels blah. It feels yucky, I think I used, even for a term. Just not my cup of tea there, and that's translating to the numbers now. It's well below average, so a little disappointing there. Getting into the driver, now this is where things change a little bit. The Amazon Basics, 144.5, 2205 on the spin, really good number there. 234.3, 243.4, 1.48 smash factor, which is really good. So now we're actually getting into a lot of green, as you can see. And that's really healthy to see. The Boost actually, I think, beat it on yards a little bit, but the Basic had a little bit better ball speed. That's really impressive, and it's also really confusing. And the reason for that is because, like I just talked about a minute ago, usually golf balls that are very soft and ultra soft or whatever make their money on the short wedges, and then on drivers suffer. When we go back to feel, the first time I actually hit this golf ball and thought, oh, that felt pretty decent, was with the driver. And again, is that a red flag? No, but it's very confusing because if I'm getting optimal compression with the driver, meaning that basically, I hit it with the pitching wedge, it felt a little heavy, just didn't feel like it came off the club good. 7-iron again, a little heavy, a little delay in it, just doesn't have a lot of explosiveness. And then I get to the driver and it has this crispiness and it just, pow, comes off like a rocket. That actually is more characteristic of a firm golf ball. Now, I'm not saying this golf ball is firm, but the way it's designed, the way it's made, it's actually performing better with the driver. And is that a bad thing? No, but it's definitely confusing because I think a lot of people are going to buy this golf ball expecting, that soft, squishy, marshmallow, bouncy ball. And really, you're getting a golf ball that kind of reminds me of the Wilson Boost a little bit. Maybe, a little, maybe not as clicky as the Wilson Boost, but, firmer, a little more punishing on mishits, that kind of thing. And so everything I thought about this golf ball coming in, complete opposite. I'm glad I'm not a betting man because I would have lost. I'd have been 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 or whatever. So very confusing in that regard. We'll talk more about that in the conclusion. But first, let's go over to the computer and let's talk about the accuracy and dispersion and see how it did there.
All right, so if we look at the 50-yard pitch, that's not bad. There's a lot right there in the center, and there's a couple long, there's a couple short, a little left and right, but overall not bad. I'll take that. We get into the pitching wedge, though, and it's a little more sporadic than I would like. Each of those lines, going from the bottom of your screen up, represents about 5 yards, which isn't the end of the world, but considering the furthest left and furthest right's about almost 10 yards, that's not quite what I usually see from golf balls. I usually see just a little bit tighter dispersion from that, but it's okay. It's average. It's just not eye-popping. Then we get to the 7-iron. Now, this I really like. There are a couple pulls. You'll see the 1, the 2, the 3, but the other 7 out of 10 are darts right at the green. I love to see that. It seems like it's pretty decently forgiving and consistent when it comes to that. And on 7-iron, that's hard to do. 7-iron is usually where I see the biggest, dispersion difference. So really good there, solid. Then when we get to the driver, not bad. I love the distance control. I love that they're all roughly going about the same. Seems like the golf ball is pretty decently forgiving. And what I really like the most is that 9 out of 10 of those are in the fairway. So I love to see that too. So, a solid performance overall, above average. Not going to win any awards, but it gets the job done, especially for that price point.
Last but not least, let's talk durability real quick, then I'll give you my closing thoughts. Looking at this golf ball, this is after about 80 to 85 shots. I hit it off a tree accidentally. It looks great. It feels awesome. There's no sandpaper effect. There's just a couple minor, dings and, blemishes here and there. 9 out of 10. That's really, really solid. Very durable. Will easily last you around. Feel free if you're, kind of a hack like, I am a little bit, and you're hitting off cart paths and trees. This thing will hold up pretty decently well. So I'm glad to see that. All right, so in conclusion, there are a lot of decent things about this golf ball, right? There's a lot of positivity to talk about. I like the design. I like the alignment tool. I like the price point. I like the fact that it's easy on Amazon. You can just get them delivered to your door next day. All that's really easy. Green side, I was pleasantly surprised. It actually did some things on the green I didn't think it would. But there's also some things I don't like, which, for example, let's talk about the feel. The feel on full shots, one of my least favorite golf balls of the year. And it's really hard, even with a great performance, to play a golf ball that you don't like the feel of, right? Now, you might be saying, okay, Nick, well, that's just your opinion on feel. We might play it, we might like it. That's very true. But here's something that isn't debatable. Pitching wedge, very lackluster. Very lackluster. 7-iron, well below average. Very below average. Got to give it credit. When it comes to driver and 50-yard pitch, very impressed. Actually kind of shocked me a little bit. I'm very surprised. However, when it comes to anything as far as your short wedges, your irons, your mid-irons, any of that in between, it fell really flat. And for me, those are important. I play a lot of short courses here in Florida, a lot of residential. It's actually pretty rare I use my driver, just to be completely honest with you. And everyone's going to be different, right? And golf balls are a fitting process. But for me, it's underrated what a golf ball does on mid-irons and short irons. And that's where this one really fell flat for me. So even though the price is great, and even though there are some great highlights to it, like the durability being great, It's a solid golf ball. If you find one on the course, you can play it, absolutely. I don't think there's going to be any issue with that at all. If you need some practice balls or yard balls, absolutely. If you're just starting out golf and you're still trying to learn the swing because you're shanking a lot of them, that works too. But if you're a 20 handicap or lower and you're getting serious about golf and you're trying to get consistent, there are just too many other golf balls, even two-piece, Precept Laddie, Wilson Boost, Bridgestone Electron. There's so many great golf balls I've tested this year that are two-piece that are way better, and the numbers are way better. And, you know, maybe the accuracy is a little better or whatever, right? I think this one is when you get done saying, hey, I really like this and I really don't like this, and you average it all out, it's okay. It's average. You know what I mean? It doesn't blow me away. And if you've tested 10 or 20 golf balls, that might work. But when you've tested 100 golf balls, that ends up just kind of getting muddied in the water. That's kind of where we're at. As always, keep watching, keep saving, to keep learning. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.